They say hunting and fishing can be dated back more than 2 million years. Throughout the years, the historic angler and hunter has steadily evolved into the avid hunter and angler that we know and love today. Welcome to the Outdoor Defiance podcast. As you listen, you will hear comical stories, companies talking about their products, researchers talking about their research, and overall ways to help you become a better outdoorsman. Welcome to today's episode.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Outdoor Defiance podcast. This will be episode 42. Before we jump in the podcast, I want to give a shout out to Shot 3D Experience. Gunner and I have had the privilege to travel to Kansas and shoot their event there. And then Gunner, Kyle, and I went to their shoot in Mulberry, Arkansas, and shot their event. And guys, it's a lot of fun. They have 4 different courses, sometimes 5, depending on where they can set up and if they can make 5 work. It's easy to super hard courses. One of the fans' favorite is the Tybo's course. You're looking at about 102 yard average typically. So there's definitely like 120 yard bombs on that course. We shot the Wild Creek course. They use Wild Creek targets and kind of set up a realistic shot to kind of showcase their targets. And then our favorite is probably the Rolling Bones Outdoors course, or what they call the RBO. That course is set up to test your skills. You're looking at 32 to like 78, so let's say 80-yard shots. You got to think about your shots there. If you don't, you're going to probably hit a limb or overshoot or undershoot. That course is set up to really test your skills, as in your angles, if you have to get down on a knee, what you need to shoot over, if you can shoot through something. More than likely, you're going to lose an arrow or 2, or maybe 4 or 5. Depending how you shoot that day. We've all lost arrows. Some of us only lost 1, some of us lost 4 or 5. But it's definitely a course that tests you. So you guys go register at shot3dexperience.com. If you register early, you save a little bit of money. You can also show up the day of and just pay and shoot. But listen, their last finale shot is here in Tulsa at the Post Oak Lodge, June 6th, 7th, and 8th. We'll be there. We have a booth. We'll be able to shoot a little bit. But more importantly, please stop by and say hi and hang out. We're there to talk to you guys, meet you guys. We're not professionals in the archery world by any means. Gunner and I actually just got the newest bows we've ever had this year. Kyle's a little bit farther along than we are by probably 5 to 8 years, so he knows a lot more. But don't be scared to stop by. We just want to talk. We want to meet you guys. We don't get to meet a lot of these people that comment on our stuff. And we also want to meet new followers. So stop by. We'll have hats. We should all be there unless one of us shooting. But definitely stop by. This week we have Steve and Tyler with Critter Calls. They talk about their journey of how they found the company, bought it, and brought it to Oklahoma. Critter Calls has been around forever. If you've never heard of them, you might want to go to your grandpa's house or your dad's house. Check out their hand calls because they probably have a critter call. It's been a staple in the predator hunting world for a long time. Steve and Tyler have got a hold of the business and actually transformed it into duck calls, goose calls, turkey calls, and the original OG critter call still. In this episode, they talk about their journey. They talk about some setups for this time of year, and we've talked about our walk with faith and how we've put everything in God's hands and just walked on the stepping stones we needed to that He laid out for Outdoor Defiance and Critter Calls. You guys are definitely going to enjoy this episode. So here's episode 42. All right, guys. So today we have Steve and Tyler on with Critter Calls. Thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. You bet. Thanks, buddy.
So we ran into these guys at the Backwoods show, I want to say 3-4 weeks ago. Was that when it was?
Yeah, it's into March, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. And right next to us, we had them with predator calls and some duck calls. And then on the other side, we had turkey calls. So I was having dreams of some weird things fighting in my sleep those nights. But no, it was fun. Those shows are fun to definitely go meet people. I think every time we've gone to a show, we've left there with more connections than we have with fans. And it always turns out to be awesome. So, but.
Yeah, the Backwoods show up in Tulsa was a little slower than we anticipated, but it was the first year they had it up there, I believe. So
yeah,
hopefully it continues to grow for sure.
Yeah, I bet it will. surely like year 3 would be able to say what that show will be like, you know what I mean? Because they kind of didn't tell anyone was going to be here until after Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
So it's
Well,
like all the people I know traveled down there to Oklahoma City for the show and then didn't come to the Tulsa show because they've already been to it in the city.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt bad for some of the vendors there because some of those guys had some monster booths and a lot of trucking involved to get those big blinds and all that stuff there. So
Yeah.
hopefully it made it worth their while. But yeah, the Oklahoma City show was amazing for us. I mean, it was phenomenal.
Yeah, it's good times.
Yep.
It's just neat getting around like-minded folks, and that have passion for the outdoors, and everything just comes together,
Yeah. So let's kind of jump in and you guys kind of tell us how you guys got started in the outdoors and then go into how it formed and transitioned to buying critter calls. Jeez.
Well, so, starting out for me in the outdoors, I was born and raised in the middle of nowhere. My dad was a big outdoors guy. And so really there was just nothing else to do. Started shooting my bow very young. Dad bought me an old Bear recurve that I go out and shoot trees with bent arrows, and started bow hunting when I was like in the 5th grade, I believe. And just I remember playing tic-tac-toe on my little leather boot, sitting against a tree before I could even carry a gun with them, So I've been doing it for a long time with just family tradition style of things. Let's see, my senior year of high school, so that was 2004. I decided that I went to school with a guy by the name of Brandon Adams, and we decided to start filming our hunts. And then we put an application in for Buckventures Outdoors whenever they were first starting up here in Oklahoma, and got selected to be on their crew staff. Did that for 10 years. So from 2000, the fall of 05, up until when my son was born. So traveled all over the place filming deer hunts. That's how Steve was actually my ag teacher in the 8th grade. One of my closer neighbors out here.
Yeah.
And get together and shoot bows of the evenings, go hunting. But yeah, just been a lifelong pursuit for me in the woods and fishing and the whole ball of wax, man. So
yeah, mine was my dad worked at Tinkerfield, and he was raised in Ohio, but he always had a passion for the outdoors, and just like if we had a weekend that we didn't have something going, we're going fishing, we're going to go run a trap line, we're going to go deer hunting, and of course in Oklahoma. And this is kind of really, really early. I've got early pictures of Dad and me duck hunting together and stuff like that. And then, of course, deer camp was like, I mean, it was sacred to us, man. We'd always go every year and have 2 of his guys that he grew up with throughout life. They all brought their sons, and once a year we'd always go to a big camp somewhere and have a deer camp. But man, I tell you what, it just etched the outdoors on the grains of my heart. Boy, I'm telling you, I love it. And there wasn't as many deer then as there is now, and I love where Oklahoma's at as far as deer, and I really wasn't expecting the hogs to be where they're at right now. But man, I tell you what, it's that's something that we've got to be looking to try and alleviate some pressures as far as that. But anyways, then of course I was Tyler's ag teacher, and shoot, I even took a week out before deer season every year for my ag class just to teach them about the rut and what to be looking for, and just trying to have success for students out there in the wild where they can have some success. And once a young man or woman gets a taste for success out there deer hunting, and I'll tell you what, I think it just drives them to be more and more outdoors, and hopefully get the next generation going. So, and as far as the critter call deal, we were both selling insurance, and had pretty much retired from that and sold a pretty large insurance agency. And I was at a local coyote hunt and a guy moved 14 dogs that day. I think we killed 4 or 5. And I was like, dang, he made it move 14. And he had a call that was kind of a copy of a critter call. And I was like, man, I got to go get my critter call out. Went home, looked for it everywhere. And I'm not the most organized person, but I usually know where my calls are. And couldn't find it. So I went online to order it, and nowhere to be found. You could not find a critter call. Well, I cut, Tyler did too. There's a Davenport's Archery here in town, and that's where we were able to get outdoor supplies and stuff, and that's where I bought mine. I was either 16 or 18 years old and drove over here and found a green olive standard, and that's what I started calling coyotes with, and that's the exact call I was looking for at the house. Couldn't find it. Went online, nowhere to be found, and my wife called me crazy, but about a 2-week search later, we were able to come up with the owner's name and a phone number and called them, and through that we're able to purchase them. Man, it was all a God-led thing. I'm just telling you, there's those rocks that were turned over was not by my doing, and there's no way I could have came up with that. It was just like one step after the other, and doors were opened, and that's a big deal for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what happened.
Growing up in Prague, my mom was a teacher here in town, and in the summertime, she would go into work on her classroom or whatever, and I'd take my bike in the back of the truck and my bow, and once she'd park at the school, I'd ride across town and go to Davenport's to shoot my bow. Started hanging out in there, and I guess I hung around so much that he put me to work because he was tired of me just hanging out there killing time. But yeah, I cut my teeth, growing up working in an archery shop all the way through college. And then, like you said, we were in the insurance business. I started my insurance agency the day after I graduated college. He had been in it for like 4 years, 3 or 4 years before that. So we sold out when, 16 years, 20 years in. And we're just looking for something for, an investment opportunity that, for the second half of our working life to enjoy doing, with the outdoor side of things, since that was our passion. So,
yeah, and we love the outdoors, and it just was a perfect fit, you know what I mean? And something we could do. I mean, whoever thought that you go hunting somewhere and be a tax write-off, you know what I mean? So here we are, and it's and of course we've expanded from there, you know what I mean? We've bought 2 other companies and brought them in, Orion Game Calls, and then we bought out Travis Alzate with his diaphragm calls and integrated those in. So bought out the turkey calls and the coyote calls, and we've working on an elk call right now with our diaphragms, and just just taking our passion and seeing exactly where we're going to go with it.
Yeah, I mean, critter call. If you've been in the game a while, as far as hand calls go, it was a very, I mean, they've sold millions and millions of them it was the very first patented open reed predator call to market. And so it is a household name amongst coyote hunters, coyote slayers for a long, long time. And so that working at Davenport's, that's where we picked them up. Started using them growing up, and like Steve said, deer hunting didn't used to be what it is today in Oklahoma, and so you needed something to do, because there just wasn't a whole lot of them around. So yeah, developed a passion for coyote hunting, sitting in the fence row, and something, like I said, something to do after deer season was over for sure. But expanding it to other essentially all critters, with the turkey, and working on our grunt tube like we had talked to you guys about. Very excited to bring that to market later this year. So yeah, with the duck, the goose, we got moose calls. So there's just trying to touch on every critter that you can possibly call to, not just specialize in just the predator side of things, where critter call started. So
right. And you guys, it was located in Colorado, right? And you guys brought it back to Oklahoma?
Yeah, we went up there kind of into September, wasn't it?
Yep, right at the end of September.
And we finally got that deal done, and we just took my one-time dually up there, and we didn't know all what the hell we were going to have to bring back. We got a big cargo trailer, and because we'd seen parts of it, like, hey, we've seen some calls and this, that, and the other, but it was there's about I'd say almost 24,000 calls that we had to pick up.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So, and these are unassembled; they're just bodies. So we had to, get all the blocks for them, get all the reeds for them, and there's 15 different types of reeds, and then there's reed materials and big rolls, and then the mega deal,
the reed press.
Yeah, the reed press. This reed press is like a 10-ton reed press, and I mean
It's a 10-ton reed press from like World War One.
Yeah, it still works, and this sucker is bad.
Yeah.
It looks like a battleship, dude. We put it in the back of the 1-ton Dodge, and that Dodge usually sets like this. I mean, she was squatted coming back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, we had a 120 horsepower tractor, and it squatted the tires on the front end loader to get it out, to get it off. And we also got a lesson in 3-phase electricity.
Yeah.
So we had to run 3-phase electricity for it to even work.
Yeah.
Luckily, we've upgraded the most of our reed cuts, or our presses since then, because the old way is not always the best way when it comes to the World War II.
Yeah, that deal would press down like a 10-ton press and has a big plate, and it's plate on plate in there, and you have these little wooden deals, and it presses through there and makes, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6 at a time, matters how many is on there. Well, now we've got a pneumatic one that runs on air, and we can just run them through there and just kind of just tap your toes, and man, it's just pump, 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 and it just makes it more efficient, and it's a good cut too, man. Them reeds, you got to have them reeds cut right if they're going to work good.
Yeah, so Major Boddicker is the guy who started it all up in Colorado, and he was a PhD in animal sounds. He had an animal control business where he'd go out and help people with depredation issues, prairie dog, just anything and everything. He had a fur buying company for a while. He definitely dabbled in all things predator, essentially. But man, he definitely got it down pat, because it's the OG, and it still is one of the best mounted ones out there, easiest to use. It's legit for sure. So
we've got them in a lot of guys' hands that are, with the age where people have kind of not seeing these is probably anywhere from 16 years old to about 30 years old, 32, and people just haven't seen them. And we've got them in some boys down in Georgia's hand, Mississippi's hands, and I mean, these guys are stacking fur. And they're like, we've never seen nothing like it. We've used all kinds of hand calls before. We've never seen nothing like that. And we asked the major. We were up there, a month ago?
Yep.
And we got to meet the major. We spent 4 or 5 hours with them, and we asked him. I mean, we were recording and did an interview whenever we were asking him these things. We're like, how does this work? And he went into all the biology of the voice box of a rabbit, and how these reeds duplicate that cord that's in there, and then we're putting our air over that, and that's how it replicates the sound.
Yep.
And
wow.
And he's like, and there's things that he told us that was just like, you just never think about it, you know what I mean?
With running an e-collar, you'll have, it happens all the time, where it happens to us when we're hunting with guys using an e-collar or whatever, where a dog hangs up way out there, and then you pick up a hand call, and all of a sudden that's what trips their trigger for that time, and here he comes, And so we asked Major when we were up there, like Steve said, like, what is that? Like, what about a hand call? Because, a speaker can only do so much as far as replicating a sound or broadcasting that. I mean, obviously we had our fair share of speaker issues just getting this but he said, man, it really comes down to, like Steve said, with that reed material and the thickness, because your voice box is not, it's almost like kind of like a ligament in there, as far as how that works. And that thickness of that material, it most closely resembles the voice box. And then of course, you got your mouth of how that sound is traveling over it versus what a speaker can replicate. And I mean, he's got all the audiograms or whatever he called, where he went in and recorded all this stuff in a studio, and has it where all the frequencies, because, and that's another thing. There's so much stuff where we can't hear it, the whole dog whistle approach, And so that reed, the resonance and the tones that it's producing that we can't even hear, that a speaker can't produce, right? And so that is kind of that stuff that you don't even know is happening, that they're hearing, that because they can hear on all those spectrums that we can.
He actually said, boys, it's not what we can hear, it's what they can hear.
Yeah.
And that's a cool saying.
we had the machine, the instruments to record what we couldn't hear.
Yeah.
And then we had a screaming rabbit and we matched it up and there it is.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I mean, he probably went through 50 different plastics just to find the right plastic for the call to be made out of, that it made that exact noise. And I mean, I'm just telling you, I tell people all the time, you want to be a lead assassin, get a critter call in your hand, work with it.
Yeah.
I talked to a guy in North Carolina. He's used different kinds of ones, and this is just last week. And he's like, send me what you need. I need to be. He said he's hunted this one farm for 9 years, and they've heard everything. And he said they ain't heard this critter call. I've used all these other calls. And I said, okay. I sent him. He said, I didn't even tell Tyler this. He went out there the other night. It was right before a rainstorm. He played a Z caller, nothing came in. He said, sounds like the same thing. And he's like, hey, I'm going to lose this farm if I don't start like putting up some numbers. And he said, 2 minutes. And I showed him how to do that peewee. He called that peewee and just maybe a 30, 45 second. He stopped for about 30 seconds and goes another 30 seconds. He looks up and there's a guy just hard charging right towards him. He's like, oh, money. You know what I mean? And he's like, I've never seen anything do that before. Like, I've seen him get fooled, and stuff like that. But he's like, he come all the way across a great distance to come to him, like a half mile at full charge. And he said, that's a deal changer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, with a hand call, it's the cheapest way to go kill a coyote. A lot of guys like you and I, all of us on here, are huge deer hunters. And so, I mean, if you're not killing coyotes, especially this time of year, you're not managing your deer the best you possibly can.
That's right.
So there's a lot of different aspects to it. I mean, obviously coyote hunting is a blast, but you can use it as a huge management tool for your whitetail herd as well. So,
well, we're dealing with a lot of calls. We get calls from game wardens and around the area and stuff too. And they've just started that in the last couple of months. And they're like, hey, we've got an issue over here, bad issues. And we had one guy at Sparks we went to last week. He lost 3 calves in 2 days.
Oh,
and literally the cows can't even calve without coyotes just being just all over them. And literally we went out and howled and 30 coyotes answered back. And I'm like, I mean, they were everywhere. And I'm like, oh, we've got an issue over here. And then right down the road here, we got some guys that have some sheep and lambs over here, and they're getting annihilated.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got pictures. They're terrible.
Depredation's a huge deal for sure.
Right now, all males are killing all males. And I think those females are denned up, and they've got them pups, and those males are a lot of them, their heads are missing on these lambs that they're finding. I think they're chewing them off and taking it to them, and stuff.
Yeah.
But definitely I know I was talking to Coyote Man Clay Reed 2 days ago, and he said, man, this is the time we need to really be pushing. I know people, I don't like to hunt them sometimes because of their denning and stuff, but he's like, this is whenever the damage happens to all the livestock folks,
Right.
They're terrorizing them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I read a study the other day on what used to be quality deer management, like National Deer Association or something now, and it was a study they had on their website where a coyote study that they have done where they killed it was anywhere between 40 to 60% of the fawn crop in that study area was killed by coyotes. Like one den had like 24 fawns get returned to the den for food for just that one den. So like if you're trying to manage deer, you better be shooting some coyotes for sure, because they're hungry. They're feeding a lot of pups.
Well, I mean, it's no different than managing anything else. That predator management is a huge deal. If you're a deer hunter, if you're a turkey hunter, I mean, I'm worried about the hatch. We've got all this big rain that's came here in central Oklahoma, and all the rivers are out and stuff. How many nests did we get destroyed this week with all these big rains? And then next week they're talking another 3 or 4 days of big rains coming in. I'm just worried. Our turkey numbers are trying to just kind of gradually come back up, and I'm just like, man, I hope we ain't shot ourselves in the foot on this deal, So
yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I don't know, kind of went a long ways around. But here we are, passionate about the outdoors. That, that's kind of how we got Critter Call back to Oklahoma, more or less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're glad to be
It's
here.
in a
Too.
better
Glad
state
to
now.
be in the United States and all the products that we got that we know of are made here in the United States, and that's a big deal to us. You know what I mean? Not just because of tariffs. We were that way before. You know what I mean?
So what I'm kind of interested about is what was the learning curve like? Like taking this deal over, and I can imagine there was one. How was that like navigating that?
Man, so we've been in business, self-employed, our entire lives, and so you have kind of some of it figured out just because you've been self-employed for so long, and running a show essentially. But obviously, there's a whole lot that we had no clue that we'd be dealing with, and so probably the biggest hurdle that we've dealt with is graphic designers and print houses. Because the packaging that we inherited from Major was straight out of the 70s. It's a Ziploc bag with a little booklet that he put in there. So there's not, Bass Pro Shops isn't really, that's not quite compliant for what they like to have. And so getting all the barcodes and all that stuff designed to where we could have our product in these big box stores. It literally took for one graphic designer, and this is a referral from some people within the industry that this guy's done a lot. It took him 4 months. Now, granted, there was like 25 different designs that he had to do for us on different products and different SKUs and all that. But I never in a million years would have bet you that it would take that long to do just that one project.
Yeah.
And then we've got some manufacturing stuff that we're designing and samples and approvals and just getting on somebody's schedule where you wouldn't think that it would take. You have to have, if you want something today, you should have been talking to the dude 12 months ago, on getting these things done. And so just the biggest learning curve, really, the biggest pain point in both of our socks has been the clamshell and the clamshell backers.
Yeah, and like you're talking about there too, our coon squatter that we just came out with, it's the eye candy call. It's that's a passion of my wife. Her family's coon hunted for 100 years, and I married in, and we were coon hunting before we even got married together. I'm telling you, and we love it, and but we knew that there was improvements that need to be made for some of these collars and stuff like that. So we started making these improvements, making them out of acrylic, and they'd send you a prototype, and you're like, well, I like this, I don't like this, and get on the phone for an hour with them. They go through there and work on that deal. And now that we've got it, we think it's the right one, and then just getting it back on the board. Hey, now that we say yes, once we say go, it may be 3 weeks before they can even get it on their deal to go ahead and start cutting these and getting them right and everything like that. But boy, I tell you though, once they do get done, oh man, they some bad dudes now. I'm telling you, every time I blow mine, my iPhone watch here goes off, says you have entered a loud environment, leave now. So anyways, listen, if that old coon don't look at you, let me tell you what, he ain't there probably, because he is going to be looking.
The coon squatter is mighty loud.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, we learned that at the show.
Yeah,
Mighty loud.
you definitely don't want a booth next to us at the show.
No,
very loud.
it worked out good.
Yeah,
you called people in. We'd be slow, and you guys would hit that, and all of a sudden, here'd be a wave of people. Like, where'd that noise come from?
You can wildlife, I promise you that. Go to them shows and watch what happens.
At the Oklahoma City show, we had a guy come back on Sunday, and he's like, "Hey, I came all the way back. He lived west of town, of Oklahoma City." He's like, "I drove in today because I wanted to buy some of these, and I literally every time I came by, y'all had like 3 rows deep, of people wanting demos or showing people how to do stuff or whatever." And he's like, "I came back just to get these today, And so, like you said, the more noise you make on those things, the more people show up. It worked out pretty well.
And I think our duck call is pretty much where we need to be at. I mean, it's you guys have got one. I know that you guys heard them rolling in there, and I'm telling you, I think they're great. And then of course we're coming out with the goose call, and you guys have seen the prototypes for those, and I think it's a good deal to have something where you're ready for any season that comes along. And, we've already got the best. I consider the best predator calls, and then our elk call is the most overlooked elk call. I think that Cal Mew elk call is bad to the bone now.
Yeah, so that one was introduced when I was in diapers in 1987, and so it was Wayne Carlton worked with Major in the early 90s to bring it to market under it was a private label job that he had done for his Fightin' Cow call that he later sold to Hunter Specialties. But Major actually introduced that and that redesign and that whole, I mean, it's the exact call in the fall of '87 is when he brought that to market. And, we had a couple people, and, granted, being from Oklahoma, a giant deer hunter, I've been elk hunting. Never, I've tried my hardest to bring one home. Had a lot of unsuccessful hunts. But we've had a lot of people say, "Man, that cow calf mew call has killed more." Because I mean, back then people weren't even using diaphragms to call elk. And he said that call right there has killed more elk than any other call combined. You have no idea.
Yep.
How many people have used those.
And we'll be at shows somewhere, and they'll tell people, just be like. Yeah. One thing is, thank you for bringing the company back, and it was shut down. You know what I mean, for like 3 or 4 years. And then the second thing is they'll be like, hey, this call like revolutionized my hunting, and stuff, and just the stories that go along with it. We had a guy from up at Tulsa that came by, and he was from Arizona, and they got some sort of like predator hunting league that they have out there. Yeah, like a private club, and they have like 250 members. And every year they'll like vote on who to bring in, like 20 new guys. They'll like try out to be on the team, and it's a big deal. And at the end of the year, they have like big plaques for 100 coyotes in their life kills, and
for that year.
I thought it was in their lifetime. Like they'd be a gold guy, and then it's silver, gold, platinum, and then but that year they do keep an annual log of every hunt that they go on and how many coyotes they killed, and at the end of the year they have a big banquet and give away prizes and stuff.
I mean, back to kind of your question that you had asked, Gunner, on what was some of the trials and tribulations that because we've owned it since like 7 months now, right? So like we're really fresh
You're going through it.
Yeah, but I mean, having employees for the last 16, 20 years, when you have a project, like you control how that flow and that work ethic gets applied to that project, and none of these people are our employees that are doing these things from the graphic design or whatever, and so you just gotta be patient because you're working with their time, and so that it's a lot slower than I'm used to when it comes to running a business, because you're just you don't have control over things like.
Well, we're drivers. We both are, and we want results ASAP, and sometimes it just doesn't happen. And we've learned that, hey, look, maybe this just needs to be in God's time instead of our time sometimes, and we just need to calm down.
Absolutely,
it'll happen. And but some major doors have been open, and stuff. We've got some folks from some of these big stores that are contacting us. They're wanting us to. We've already sent out a bunch of samples in our new clamshell packages with our backers and stuff, and getting some really good responses. So we're excited about that.
That's awesome.
Of course, we're sending some overseas and stuff, but it'd be neat to get in some big box stores here and be able to show our products off and let people just see them out there and be able to use them and have success.
Have you guys had any issues with getting the plastic at all? I know you said it's made in America, but like, I feel like that's something that's kind of hard to stay like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like consecutive, like on the material when you're looking at American made stuff.
Yeah.
You guys
So
have an issue with the plastics at all?
was what literally when we were negotiating our contract to buy Critter Call, we went up and met with the manufacturer who had made the call ever since day one. And unfortunately, they've retired and sold. And they retired and sold during the process of us closing on the business. So that has been fun because they had a whole bunch of all just knowledge. I mean, they've done it since 1976, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of things that were just you don't know what you don't know, and especially to write down and incorporate into something where that our customer, was being bought by this new injection mold company. And so, but that was our very first question when we sat down with the manufacturer who had been making them since the get-go, is because that was, we were all coming out of the COVID issues with supply chain and whatnot, and he reassured us, and then also we found out since then that all these plastics are readily available. They had zero issues. He said, some of my customers that were making, he made like cattle ear tags. He's like, during the worst part of the pandemic, instead of getting 2 semi loads of plastic, I could only get 1. But he's like,
Yeah.
that was no big deal. Like it kept us plenty busy for several weeks.
Yeah.
And so all of the stuff, as far as the plastics, are manufactured here in America, and even through all the supply chain craziness, there wasn't any that he told us about that he lived through. There
Right.
wasn't really any issues, and we haven't had any issues whatsoever with the sample colors and getting samples and all the different materials that go into it. We have yet to experience. Thank God, we've yet to experience a problem there.
And we don't know. I mean, I don't know if something out of that plastic is made in China or something, and they ship it over here, and then they do something here. But all the guys that we're getting them from are American-based companies that are more or less wholesalers that sell that, and they may have to truck it in from a couple states away, But there's folks that are readily available here in Oklahoma City, Dallas area, and stuff like that, and they keep large quantities of this in there and able to get it injection molded. You know what I mean? And it's a cool process.
Yeah. And even like on the reed material, we buy that by the giant roll. I mean, one roll will do what seems like a million reeds. Because we'll go out in the shop and we've got this 4x6 kind of like something like a engineer would use to cut paper real straight or whatever, so we make all these strips to go through the new pneumatic machine, and my God, we can make thousands upon thousands in an hour, and we've only hardly used any of the material off the roll, so that's a good thing. The material goes a long way.
Yeah. So. And that used to be done by the old injection molder, but we've taken that on ourselves.
When we went up and met with the injection molder,
this is a bad story, but anyway,
we're like, we're buying this reed machine because he had this, World War II press, and we were like, hey, can the lady that ran this for you? He told us in the first meeting.
Was it Martha? Was that
her name was Martha?
Martha.
And she said she's retired. And we were like, hey, when we come back up, we'd really like to meet Martha and have her show us how she made these reeds, because she's the only one that ever did it for you, Kelly.
And we're the only ones that they use that machine for. It was just to make these reeds for us.
Yeah. And he goes, well, guys, that's going to be really hard because Martha died 4 months ago. And we're like, oh,
that's going to be. I don't think Martha's coming back. And I'm like, why not? He's like, she's dead, Steve. And I'm like, oh my God.
She unfortunately passed away like 3 or 4 months after she retired.
Yeah.
And took all the reed making knowledge with her. So, we figured it out pretty quick. We're country from way back. So.
Yeah. We can
yeah.
But
so you said when you bought it pretty much had the cow elk call, and then did it have the 2 coyote calls?
Well, it had the Pee-wee. The standard was the original, all right? So that's the patent was issued to the standard. So then the Pee-wee, the Song Dog, and the Magnum. And then also the Itsy Bitsy.
Yep.
He introduced that the last 5 years of him owning it.
Yep.
So there was 5 predator calls within the original predator lineup for critter call. And then he has, well, like this one here, is a song dog body, but he has a specialized reed. This is a hoodoo elk talker. And so I annoy my family because I'll be in here in the office and I'm learning how to use this versus a bugle tube. Because it's a lot easier to pack this around in the mountains than a bugle tube and using a diaphragm. But yeah, so he had the hoodoo elk talker and the cow calf mew, and then he also had an elk grunt. So there was 3 elk calls that that he introduced in the fall of '87. And then he has a reed that he had made for a buck grunt. I mean, there's
a moose call as well. But I mean, this guy, I'm telling you, he's been all over the world hunting. I mean, he was schwacking dadgum coyotes down in Peru before country's even cool, man. He's like, oh yeah, they sent me down to Peru, and I was down there for 2 months killing coyotes, and anything that they needed taken out, I was just doing it for them. And then he goes to Africa, and he's got that standard. He calls a hippo up, and literally the guide gets so scared because he calls it right up to the vehicle with the standard. He's like, stop it, stop it, stop. He had to starting the vehicle because it was about ready to attack him.
Yeah.
And he's like, called a crocodile one time with one. And I'm just like, what? This guy, man, he's a magician on them calls and stuff. Of course, they killed a huge amount of jackals over there, hyenas. I don't know about lions and stuff like that, but he's like, if you can think about it and just work with the call, he said you can use it for anything.
Yeah. Oh, and Major was one of the first 50 people into Russia after the Soviet Union fell.
Whenever they collapsed.
And so he was like a trapper portion of like how can the West build relationships for business within the collapsed Soviet Union and Russia. And so he went over there and traveled all through Siberia.
Well, they sent him to Siberia.
Yeah, establishing like a fur trade because he was a fur buyer.
Yeah. Wow. Him and 24 other dudes went over there to Siberia and set up this fur trade. And I mean, his adventures are crazy, dude.
Yeah, and
that's wild.
At that same time, taught them how to use predator calls for calling wolves or whatever it was over there. I can't remember what he said when I talked to him, but man, it's been used all over the world for sure.
Pretty cool stuff.
Yep.
Wow. So, give us a quick breakdown of what each of those predator calls is used for.
Okay, so
and what sounds they make. I know what they're used for. Bad question on that verbiage, but
yeah, I got you. So, well, it's really you can make any noise with. I mean, it's an open reed call, right? And so it's really just the air channel, the size of that air channel under that reed. It dictates how loud it's going to be, how much distance it's going to cover, and then also kind of like that back pressure that you get on the reed. And so the peewee is the smallest; it covers the smallest amount of ground, right? It's still super loud. I mean, on our decibel meter, it's like 115 decibels.
Yeah.
And so, but a lot of folks around here in Oklahoma have always used the peewee for like bobcats. I mean, it's absolutely devastating on bobcats.
We stacked them up down there in Texas at that West Texas Coyote Contest. I'll tell you what, that bird sound on that peewee, it was killer, dude. I mean, they'd never heard that before, and they come running.
Yeah, and then the standard, it's a little bit bigger air channel, a little bit bigger barrel, so it's just a little bit, it's louder, can cover more ground. You can do anything and everything on it, from a bird in distress, cottontail, jackrabbit, deer in distress. You can do some female howls with it to quickly transition to those. My personal favorite in the lineup is the Song Dog Junior, which is essentially this is the Song Dog body here, but it has these removable extensions. And so that is a Song Dog Junior, effectively, as it's named within our lineup. It has a bigger air channel than the standard. And when you're hunting, Oklahoma and wind they go hand in hand. And so it just allows you to buck the wind a little bit better. And it's still super easy to have a distress on there for the cottontail, jackrabbit side of things, when anything you're hunting like west of 35 here in Oklahoma.
Great howler. That's
Yeah.
also what Steve Kreiner won the 2010
Yeah.
calling championships was with the Song Dog Junior.
Yep.
And I moved dogs from 3/4 to a mile, moving howling and then going into a prey distress with that call.
Yep.
And stack them up.
And then you can just bump the extensions back on it, and you can use it as a howler, for that.
Wow.
If you're a big turkey hunter, a howler's big time for shot gobbling turkeys on the roost, or locating birds. So I mean, that's pretty darn easy to always have in your vest with you for howling on finding turks. And then there's the Magnum, which is exactly what it says it is in the name. It's on our decibel meter, we've got it all the way up to 139 decibels on howls, and so it's like got to have hearing protection. Essentially, it's so loud.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of air, so you got to.
And the guys still use them to call in, like do distress sounds, all that stuff like that. But out west, New Mexico, Arizona, big country like that, the further they can hear you in that wind and stuff like that, it's a huge deal.
Yeah.
You move dogs.
I just got back from a backpacking hunt, a fly-in hunt that I did in Idaho. I was trying to hunt spring bear. That was extremely unsuccessful. But I had a Magnum in my pack with me, and was super easy to do, because I wasn't seeing any like jackrabbits or rabbits at all. The only thing I was really seeing up there was elk, and I was seeing thousands and thousands of elk and mule deer, which is cool. Wish I could have saw some bear to shoot, but and so I was trying to call for bear, and which is an effective thing to do if there's bear there, and was using the Magnum for like a mule, like a deer in distress, like elk calf in distress, because you can pull back the air pressure you're doing on that, kind of like you're fogging a mirror, like in a grunt tube, and you can get really cool deer distress out of that Magnum for sure.
Yeah. He said it was elk going off the other side of the mountain over there, and it was
really cool. It's just huge canyons or big mountains up where I was at, and doing that distress, because I had a buddy with me, and we had a mountain lion tag, wolf tags. We were seeing wolf tracks that were older. But man, when you're calling, predator calling in that type of country, you're like, hey man, watch my back. I don't want to get attacked.
Absolutely.
By a lion, but it's pretty cool to hear it bouncing off the mountains for sure. So,
but that's pretty much our, and of course we do have the Orion line that we have, and we went out to Colorado Springs and met with Doug Yancey, and he has a line that he's come up with his own tone board and stuff, and real easy calls to blow on, doesn't take quite as much air, super volume, super howlers, and we're doing a little bit of modifications on those to make them just where we think they need to be. A lot of those are made out with like wood barrels and stuff like that, and we're trying some different materials to see. We just want it to be the very best, which it sounds great. There's hundreds of dogs that died to these things, but it's one of those deals that
just make it a little bit more durable.
Yeah, well, half the time it's either raining, you're getting into dirt and everything else. You might fall on it. We have to have something that's going to be able to be super tough in the field.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because with the Lion lineup, they're all that laminated wood, and which they're phenomenal. Kind of like the old laminated gun stock look, But I mean, I've got some laminated calls that are 10, 15 years old. You pull them out of the drawer, and they're starting to come. That glue it comes loose after a while, So we're kind of transitioning. We're going to keep the laminated side of things, but we're also transitioning to some other material that I think just kind of takes it up, makes it a little bit more pretty.
I like the sound of
more
it.
of a collector type look, and it sounds phenomenal too.
So we got an open reed in that. Then we've got a closed reed with a jackrabbit or a cottontail reed in it, and then we've got our howler, and then we've got the muzzle brake.
Yep, within the Orion.
Yeah, within the Orion.
Yeah, and we just got our prototypes. We changed up the closed reed that from Orion. We just got our prototypes in, yesterday, and got all those built, and trying to change the mouthpiece up a little bit. We really like it. So yeah, it's just been fun tinkering, man. I mean,
Yeah.
being a deer hunter, being an outdoorsman, you got plenty of time on your hands when you're out there in a stand. And so you're always, well, I have always been looking at something like, how can I make this better? If they would have put a pocket here or something there, you make a product better. And it's been a blast.
And then we have the double double.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so the double double, you can put either 2 cottontails, 2 jackrabbits, or crisscross them up in there, and it's a really unique sound, and it's really good volume on it too.
Yeah.
So we already talked about a coon squaller. So
yep, for sure. Yeah.
there's a lot of guys using these coon squallers. They want to use them on the ground. They want to call them up, shoot them coons with shotguns.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal. Some of them will use their e-collars, and they're like, hey, I really want to get them close. I was like, be careful. They'll come in your lap, boy, now.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen with my own eyes before. So, and then you guys have the duck call. Kind of how is that your? That's you guys' first like waterfowl call, right? The duck call.
I wasn't sure what.
Kind of what went behind that.
Man, I tell you what, like I said, I've got pictures of me and Dad killing mallards back whenever that'd been over 45 years ago. And I was just a little guy, and I'd follow them everywhere. And I've always had that passion. And man, I'll tell you what, about 5 or 6 years before even Duck Dynasty hit, man, a buddy of mine said, hey, let's go hunting. And I was like, where are we going to go? And he's like, let's go duck hunting. So we went and got the license and everything. And you know what? I just love that camaraderie. And I'm just like, dude, I'm hooked. And I don't even know. We may have killed 3 or 4 birds that day. It's just kind of a mixed bag. But after that, I went and got a dog and trained that dog. And then my son is literally, he don't miss hardly a day of duck hunting season. And he told me whenever he was 10 or 12 years old, Dad, one of these days we're going to have our own duck call. And sure enough, here we are. So it's kind of a labor of love. We had a lot of help from some good friends there that helped us to perfect that. And you guys have heard them. Them suckers, they'll scream.
Yeah.
And
they're good.
Yeah. And matter of fact, you'll get called out at the show for, hey man, you got ducks all over the top of the building. You better quit.
Yeah, make the
bass tank says, hey, cut it out. There's ducks in our bass tank.
make the guest speaker mad at the back of the show.
Shoot, boy, man, I tell you what, I could have just sat down and just listened to that all day, man. I'm telling you, there is nothing like the camaraderie and just watching ducks work, man. I'm telling you, that was a big deal to me. We've built a lot of habitat, and we love the habitat for them ducks. And even if we just go down there and watch them, we ain't even got to shoot them no more. We enjoy seeing them, and of course we love to eat them and we love to shoot them. But it's just something and I find that same, like deer hunting, you can't really, like, okay, if you have deer camp or something like that, but then everybody goes their separate ways, and hey, it's all be quiet, and hey, you got to watch your scent, and your scent funnel's running this way, and duck hunting, we're out there, and there's 4 or 5 of us in a row, and we're just drinking coffee and just talking about what's going on in life, and always have a prayer before the hunt, and all of a sudden ducks start working, and we're on them calls, and man, they land right at your feet. They ain't nothing like it, man. And we see that with predator hunting though too, man. I'm telling you, this group of guys that I go predator hunting with, they're legit, dude. Legit, and they got our back no matter what. And they're there's many a dog that's died to them boys right there. I'm just telling you, they are.
That's a lot of fun we do a lot of local hunts. They'll start on a Friday night after everybody gets off work at 7 when it gets dark, and it's a thermal hunt. And you'll have check in at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, and then everybody's just hanging out at check in, because it's all just a bunch of local guys that
talking about the day. It's just neat, man, and just to do that, and just of course I've hunted solo before too and stuff like that. But man, I tell you what, there's something to that. And just having somebody that, hey, watch over here, I'm going to watch over here, and just that camaraderie, man. And of course at night, you can move a little bit more, you can talk a little bit more, and with them thermals, it's a whole new game.
Yeah. Yeah, I told you guys at the show, thermals are a hot subject right now, and it's one of you guys asked me, "Do you thermal hunt a lot?" And I was like, "Well, I have one, but man, it's watching those dogs work in the daylight. Man, it's just I don't know. It's just cool to see them with your naked eye, walking, sneaking in or doing whatever they want, and
Sure.
I love it. It's almost like duck hunting, watch them work in, and that's what duck hunting. I mean, I've been calling. I don't know how many years I've been running a duck call. There's times I don't even pull up and shoot just because I'm like, wow, look how
Yeah.
these worked in, And then I call the shot, and I'm like, wait, I didn't even pull up and shoot. So I have to like pull up my gun and act like I shot real quick because I don't want to be like, what's going on with you?
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
Posters.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. It's kind of like with you saying that how you really prefer the day hunting versus night hunting. I mean, everybody has their thing, and
yeah.
that's
Oh no,
all.
I'm not talking down on it at all.
Yeah,
It's just I like watching him running in.
yeah. I've only ever shot like I don't know three bucks with a rifle. The rest of them with a bow. Some people would
Mhm.
only use a recurve or whatever.
Yeah,
So your own, just get out there and have fun, man. However you enjoy it.
yeah, absolutely.
We hunt so much at night is just because we do a lot of those problem calls and go out and try to, that's whenever them are out there in the cattle pasture. A lot of times, sure,
Yeah.
they could be out there early morning or something like that too, but man, they feel at home at night and they're out there
Yep.
praying, doing their thing, and that's whenever a lot of times, same way with hogs. I mean, if you go day hog hunting, you better be running some dogs or something because it's going to be,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I tell you what though, that camaraderie and just the good times, and I'm all about making the memories. And we, I mean, we take people all the time. I mean, we took some guys that hadn't ever hunted before, or they've been hunting, never called some, and we took them out. And they finally got. You talk about excited now. I mean,
Yeah.
like in the watery, man. Them guys are screaming, and I'm like, hey, we still hunting, man. Let's calm down a little bit. They're like, you don't understand, man. 35 stands, we ain't never killed a dog. Now we just killed one. Yeah, it's fitting to get even better. Just be quiet. We're gonna kill another one. So
And
Yeah.
that's with high hunting. You 15-minute stands, and you're moving to the next one.
There you
So
go.
it's, for folks who have a hard time sitting still, it's a lot of fun for sure. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, it's a
And
different
we
animal.
carry on too, someone make a bad shot and we'll rev them for the next time, and it's just one of them deals, and then some people make an amazing shot when, I got a guy named Mutah, and we had some D tags and we're helping a guy out. And he had an amazing shot, man. I'm just telling you, it was crazy, dude. I mean, it was 558 yards, and I still ain't heard the end of this deal. I'm telling you, with thermal, and I'm like, Dad gum. And he's like, he was big chested for a few days, and then finally he goes, I think I'm pretty used to that gun, but part of that was luck, Steve. I was like, I don't know, man. That was amazing. Oh shoot. But
anyways,
yeah, we have a lot of fun, man. And
the camaraderie aspect of the coyote hunting versus the duck hunting. Well, I mean, just like when we were on that one hunt, you shot that dog. And we had those four just hard charges.
oh yeah,
and
Quint, the king.
yeah, and we and one of them they split and one went the other way, and you were on the end and you could get it. Ended up shooting it on the run at like I don't know 400 yards, 378 yards, and just barrel rolled it. No, I'm pretty sure.
It was like 280 or something like that, but still, it
Oh,
was
well, okay, on the run, right? And
Yeah.
he woke the whole county up. He was screaming so loud because he was so pumped.
Oh yeah, it was great, dude. I mean, it was like no ESPN stuff right there. Now I'm telling you,
Yeah.
people write stories about that, But I've done it a couple times on some dogs, and it's just the more you get out and do it, the better you get it.
Yeah.
And but yeah, but I don't care if they've killed. I don't care what their background there is or anything. Let's get them out. Let's get them hunting and show them some positive things. And those guys mainly just want to know how we did it, and like told them, hey, this is our setup. And of course, we've done some other podcasts talking about setups and stuff like that. And that's a big deal, man. You got to know. I mean, it's a learning curve on that too. It's took us a long time to figure all this stuff out, but we want to share it so people can have success too, so they can help out,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's,
both
a lot of
definitely
people
make
don't understand.
So
A lot of people don't understand the setup part on coyote hunting. They think they just go out here, and a lot of people don't understand. It's not. They're like, well, we've gone out there. I haven't killed anything. Well, have you ever changed anything up? No. We set the same spot, same time of day, use the same call. And I'm like, all right, let's switch it up here, and
Yeah.
that's what just changing things up with coyotes and getting sometimes I've gotten to places I'm like, this works, it'll be cool. And I've got down there and had some of the best hunts, of my life. So
Yeah.
You got to kind of check yourself before you wreck yourself on those deals too, because you got to. I mean,
Yeah.
And we've talked about that before, but every single hunt, we're like, what did we do right? What did we do wrong?
Yep.
What could we change for the better? What did we do right that really, really worked on this set?
Yeah.
And there's always some positives and negatives on that deal. And it's just, I mean, anybody else may not care, but it's self-critiquing ourselves to try and make ourselves better. Like
right.
we set up on that one hunt whenever we're in that one cattle pasture where they had all that trouble. And Tyler's like, I think we ought to set up over there on that pond dam over there. And we was all tired. It was like our 6th or 8th set, and we're just running and gunning. And I'm like, well, let's just try it right here. We're on this hill with them round bells. And if we would have went where he said, we'd have killed 2 dogs on that set.
Yeah.
And it was just a deal where we're just like, okay, well, we made a mistake. One of them circled us. The other one came up, just kind of popped back down when we could get a shot at it. So
yeah,
it's you learn a lot.
Yep. It's, really I hunt them like I hunt deer. You got to make sure you watch your entry and exit rounds so they can't see you coming and going. And then your wind obviously is huge on that deal. But if you hunt them a lot like you hunt deer, I think you're 80% there for sure.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
If you know how to kill a deer.
yeah.
I'm kind of there. Taylor does the coyote stuff and the predator stuff more than me, so I kind of tag along with him. I'm in a real big learning process right now with him. I just went to my first contest with him. What'd you say?
Y'all.
Yeah, anytime you want to go, let us know. We'll take you.
Okay, there you go.
Yep.
Yeah, take you up on that.
So.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring my e-collar though to back you up.
Yeah, that's fine. It's hard.
He said, "Yeah, that's fine."
Corn pile,
What?
So it's hard to shoot a coyote off a corn pile.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying we never use e-collars. I think it's a great tool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, I've got some killer sounds, and I mean, we've got some sounds we're developing right now put on e-collars. You know what I mean? We're not against that deal.
No.
I mean, it's just a tool. I mean,
Yeah.
You go out there and you hit one of these day contests, and you're blowing a hand call for 14 hours during the daylight.
Yeah.
You're gonna be wishing you had an e-collar. I promise you that.
Yeah.
I mean, but
Lips feel like they're about to fall off.
yeah, but in tight areas, and you're like, hey, I think I can use a little hand collar right here. Big areas, wind's blowing, you know how it blows. I mean, it might be 24 miles out of the south, and you're trying to call this one area, and you're gonna have to blow down in there with that. That e-collar works great, man. And I'm all about whatever kills dogs.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
down there, that's Texas Bobcat contest. We were down way down south, about around Corpus Christi, and they would not respond to an e-collar.
Nope.
I mean, every single cat.
We killed one dog off the e-collar.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah. We had him come in with a hand call, and then he hung up, and then we switched to
Fawn distress.
fawn in distress on an e-call, and he cut the last. Well, we shot him at like You shot him at like 220, I think.
Yeah.
To where we could get a shot on him, but I mean, some days they work, sometimes they don't. You just got to have that tool in your tool belt.
There you go. And if you got that tool, it's just like I didn't have a Sawzall for a long time. Let me tell you what, Sawzall's pretty handy. Handy too. And that's one thing I look at is listen, I've got these tools and they're at our disposal. If we need them, we need them. If we don't, we don't. And I've even got multiple different e-collars because I think this one here might work for this better and this one here for this better. And it's just all I care about at the end of the day is I want to be efficient at what I want. I don't want to educate dogs, and I want to be efficient at what I do. If I can go out, and I know I ain't going to be 100%, but if I can if we do 10 sets and we kill 6 or 8 dogs, we done good. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I always try to hit for that 50%, 60% mark when I go out. That's when I judge it's a good day. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I've had days where it's about 110%, but I come back with 20. But we don't have to talk about those days.
What's your you're having a rough day. It's just tough. What's your like go-to? Like this is gonna break, the ice right here. Like this one's gonna do it.
Well, I think time of day is a big deal on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're hunting at noon, 1 o'clock, and maybe you move one dog in like 4 hours, and then it starts twilighting on you. You know what I mean? Like, hey, the sun's starting to go down. I know them dogs are going to be on their feet, and stuff. Um, like I would say either that standard or that Song Dog Junior is my go-to, and just going into a basic rabbit distress. And Tyler likes to start out pretty loud. I try and just kind of hit it medium, and then I can go louder from there. But on the e-collar, I mean, there's so many different things to hit on that deal. But I do have certain ones that I like, and I'm not saying it's 100%, but I like to just go to a basic distress, and I like those. I'll tell you right now, them pair howls, they're killer, man. Them pair howls right now, and mix it with some sort of a howl. This time of the year, them females are denned up, and we had problems where that guy lost them 3 calves, and I threw everything at him, and I said, well, maybe it'll be a different day or something like that. Let's move to a different spot is what we're fixing to do. And I went back to get the call because I set it behind me about 35 yards. I turn around, there's 3 dogs standing right in front of one of the guys there. And I just yelled, hey, they're standing right in front of you. And he's like, what? And I'm like, shoot them. And he turns around, and sure enough, they're 40 yards in front of me. And he missed every one of them. But anyways, it is what it is. You know what I mean?
You took Gunner out?
Do what?
Said you took Gunner out?
Yeah. First of all, I didn't take a shot at that last one we went to. I was filming, and old Kyle dropped the ball on that one. Okay.
We all dropped the ball a little bit on that hunt. We don't need to bring those up. It's
Hey, I put a suppressor on my 6 ARC, and it took me 30 days to figure out I had to get a different buffer for it because I had put a longer stock on it, and man, I was a one-shot wonder on my AR-15 6 ARC, and I finally figured it all out. And now it runs crazy, but there were some guys we were hunting with that I think they thought I was I was in the wrong industry.
yeah.
What? He's over there. I'm like, again? He's like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. And here's this, bullet hanging out the side. And you got to drop the mag to get it going and everything else. I mean, it's just a learning curve. You know what I mean? And but it's good times, and everybody misses. It's just one of those deals. It wouldn't be hunting if we didn't have some trials to go along with it. And it's the memories, man. You know what I mean? I remember the misses more than I do the wins.
Oh yeah, they sting a little more.
Yeah.
Well, we went out and hunted with Tony Tibby. It was one of the very first trips that we went on after we bought the company. So it was like in October.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It was right before I went on that elk hunt.
Yep.
And the very first stand that we go on with Tony, and of course Tony's a legend, right? He's been doing this longer than I've been alive. He calls a dog in with our call.
Yeah. And he goes, give me that peewee. Well, so we'd been at his shop.
Yeah.
And he said, hey, this is, these calls are awesome, by the way. And he's like, but I want to do this, this, and this. So he did all these adjustments, and he was telling me what to do. I'd do the adjustment, and he'd call on it. He's like, almost perfect. Almost perfect. I want to dog ear this read, and I want to do this. And finally, he's like, this is it.
Yeah.
This is it. This is the one.
Yeah.
And and of course we do his signature line now, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then we went out on that hunt.
He's using the peewee that he had just built.
Yeah.
And just a gunner don't feel that, right? So he calls his dog in 20 seconds after we're there. It's freaking 50 yards away, and click, and I look down, and I had this gigantic charging handle on this 6 ARC, and I guess it had just clipped or pulled and just barely disengaged my bolt, and enough for the firing pin to drop, but not enough for it to shoot. And dude, I felt this big.
I'm
because-
glad there was no trees around because he
Yeah.
would have broke that thing over the trees.
Yeah.
I promise. He could shoot a 10-penny nail into. I
Yeah.
promise. He goes,
So
we're with the legend.
yeah, we're with the freaking legend on the very first one. He called us our call, and I look like an idiot, you know. And so then from then on out, all the dogs that we called, it has that Ford Assist, you know. You could literally, as soon as I saw a dog, they all were laughing at me because they could hear me going,
Yeah.
you know, just like you
Well,
didn't have-
whenever he first sat down, if he had a ball peen hammer, he'd have been hitting that. Hurry up all the way.
Yeah.
And anyways,
Hey, I try to learn from my mistakes. Not all the time, but I really do try to learn from
but the second day after, I missed going through some brush, you know, and hard charger, and you know, it's just one of those deals. Whenever one comes in and lopes up, and there's a little bit of brush in the way, you're like, should I take the shot? You know, there's an opening over here. Maybe he's going to advance, maybe he's not, but he's just checking everywhere, and I'm like, I'm just going to go ahead and pinch. You know what I mean? And I pinched, he run off. So who knows? I probably hit a branch or whatever, but
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing about coyote hunting, man. Everything can look so perfect, and you know you'll have 5 in your lap, and then all of a sudden they scatter, and you don't get any of them. You know, it's
Yeah.
that's kind of what makes it fun.
oh yeah, it's a blast.
So this time of year, you know, a lot of people, we talked about it a little bit earlier. A lot of people don't hunt this time of year, especially myself. So what would your guys' setup be for this time of year? What are you looking for, and what's your ideal setup?
I think Major, when we went to talk to him, said it the best on finding den locations, and so he he focused on howls, and so he would triangulate a den location. So he would, you know, say you're on this side of the mile section, you howl because they're staying close to dens right now for a
Mhm.
reason. And so if you are trying to manage the population right now, you know, you locate them on the howl, drive around the section, do it again. And he said try to get 2 to 3 spots at different areas on where they're howling from because they're hanging so tight to their den. And then you just move in and you just get as close as you can to where you located them, right? Because that's a very good chance. Because we were asking them, how do you find a den? Because that's what they're doing this time of year. But so you just get as close as you can, and man, they are very, very protective of of their area right now. Just kind of like a doe is of her fawning ground, you know. Heck, I've almost.
And they're hungry. I'm telling you, these
Yeah.
dudes are hungry. They're. I mean, they're this one spot over here. I don't know how many lambs they've lost. And a buddy of mine, Britches, he's going over there every night, every morning, and I think he's killed 7 male dogs in the last 10 days over there. One of them had a sheep by the throat, and he shot the coyote off the sheep, and he's got it on footage. And then another one, he said, Steve, I left there that morning, everything's fine. Come back that evening, and one had already killed the lamb and was eating on the lamb. He shot it right on top of that lamb, and I mean, the lamb literally had blood all over its neck where it got it and choked it out, and then was eating the hindquarters out of it and stuff. It's a serious deal. I mean, they're looking at it anyways. Matt Stennett down in by Washington, he sent me a picture of a coyote. It was a female that was heavy bred. I mean, she was belly down, and she had a whole pig's head in her mouth. She had it by like the spine, and it was carrying this head. Well, it was carrying it, I'm sure, back to its den so that it's got a food supply for those pups. You know, whenever she's getting up and she don't have to go very far, she can go out and eat, probably get a little drink of water, and go right back into them pups. And matter of fact, one of those lambs over there was missing a head the other day, and it's between the calf deal, and I mean that go to a food source,
water source for sure.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's going to be game on.
Yeah, when they're lactating, they gotta have a lot of water. So you know, definitely don't be hunting in the middle of a mile section that doesn't have some type of water, right?
Right.
But you know, they're very aggressive on their den stuff this type of year. So if you can get in there and howl, move in on them, you can definitely take advantage of it for sure this time of year.
Yeah, and so the howls really worked good for us the other day, just I kind of started going into, I did a pair, and then I waited a little bit, did some distress, and then I went into some challenge house,
Mhm.
and man, they start lighting up, man, and I mean they were getting closer and closer. I was like, here they come. Then it kind of shut off, and I shut off that call for a minute. I just thought, because we kill a lot in the quiet, you know what I mean? We'll hit pause and they'll still come rolling in. And I hit that one more of those challenge house, and I gave it like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I'm like, well, I guess we'll move on down the hill. I go back over there and I have my handheld and turn around and they're right there in front of me. And that's just the way it is. But there's nobody to blame but himself on that deal. They're 40 yards right in front of him with an AR, and he shanked every shot. So
anyways, another thing for this time of year, I mean, it's May 1st, you know, when we're recording this, is fawn in distress, because fawns are dropping. And, you know, just like that study I had referenced that I had read the other day on quality deer management, where, you know, 20 some odd fawns had been brought back just to one den. Man, they kill a ton of fawns.
Yep.
So if you can sound like the Snickers bar that they're looking for, you know, it's big time this time of year. So because it's just the easiest food source that they can possibly find, you know.
And they may think, hey, another coyote, you know, one that's not so dominant has caught a fawn over there, and they're going to go steal it from them or whatever. It's hung in a fence, whatever. Car may hit it, and boy, they're just looking for a free meal real quick. It's on. It's game on.
Yeah.
And we can do all those on our calls.
It's just kind of like fly fishing. You know, they kind of mash the hatch, right? And so, you know, what's happening right now, like a baby cottontail, that's kind of the easy thing this time of year in the spring. Just kind of match where you're at in the year and the
environment.
Yeah.
I do a lot of calf balls.
Yeah.
Whenever we're out there and around cattle and stuff, we'll use some distressed calf and like a dog getting a hold of it and stuff. People laugh at that, but I've killed dogs over it. I mean, I've had some hard chargers, and I mean some big dogs come in on that deal. Heavy dogs. You knew that's what they'd been preying on. And anyways, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I don't know, for some reason there's something standing out on a story with kind of like what do you focus on like this time of year, but also going back to what Steve said, we're always talking about what worked, what didn't. We had a hunt that we did in Southwest Kansas back in October of last year, and it was super dry at that time of year. And we killed some dogs, but we didn't come in first in that hunt. But the guy who did literally shot all of his dogs within 100 yards of a water tank.
Yep.
And you know, we in our mind when we're driving home, we're like, God, why didn't we think of that? Like, you know, it's well, and the dogs that we did kill, we did the backwards math on it, on looking at aerial photos, and lo and behold, we were very, very close to a water supply at that time from cattle. Yep. And so just, you know, it sounds dumb on the fact that we didn't take into account that we were hunting an area with a drought and we didn't focus on water, but you know, it is what it is. You don't know.
Well, it has that big river running through it and stuff like that. And where we found success was closer to the river, and then actually that place was so long we didn't even get. We did hunt one windmill tank, and we killed a dog just boom real quick there, and Tyler killed it, and it was a long shot. He swacked that one, and then we went on down. Well, we didn't make it. There was several more tanks on down that road that we're hunting down that we had the wind in our favor, you know, and stuff like that. And I got thinking, man, if we could have skipped some of those dry holes that we had and went over there to the tanks, and if we'd have known that, man, it'd have been, I mean, because those guys killed like 6 or 8 dogs just off like 4 or 5 tanks. Matter of fact, I think they come back around to the tanks again and hunted them again on the way out. They had some more success. So.
Yeah, because I mean, like coyotes aren't, you know, deer get like, I don't know, what is it, 60% of their water requirements from their diet, you know, just on forage and whatever. Well, you know, coyotes just like a dog in your backyard. They got to have a bowl of water, you know, and so definitely on those drier times, make sure you're at least focusing where water is, because they're heavily water dependent for sure.
Yeah, and if you're hunting over here by North Canadian or Deep Fork, just get on top of one of them bridges and get ready. They're probably going to float by here pretty quick.
I was about to say that. I was about to say, you can hunt anywhere Oklahoma with water right now.
Boys, they might be riding downstream.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah,
I think it's very cool, the diversity of the calls that you have, like the different sounds you can make with a singular call.
Yeah.
It's not something that I have seen a whole lot of, I guess. So
Yeah, open reeds, man. It's a musical instrument. You can play it however you can play it. Heck, Major even told us he got kicked out of a steakhouse in New York City for playing "Happy Birthday" on a Magnum call.
Yeah.
You know, and so
Yeah.
singing
They
the Happy
did. One of
Birthday.
his buddies dared him to
Yeah.
do it, and he played it on that Magnum. And then, just like Kyle, man, Clay Reed down in Texas, he's like, I've never been able to use an open reed call. I said, well, I bought this company. I'm going to send them to you. And first night he went out there, he said he worked with it. He said, them people at the cafe, he's up early and he's always at the cafe early. He said, them guys at the cafe are so tired of hearing me on this call. But he said, man, after about 3 or 4 days, he said, man, I was sounding like a rabbit. First night he went out there on one stand, he killed 8 coyotes.
Yeah, it doesn't
Wow.
it doesn't take much to learn, man. If you know what a rabbit's supposed to sound like, you can find that sweet spot on those reeds, and be able to stay in that zone to where, and really, I mean, sometimes some of the most effective sets we've had is where you sound like a little bit of everything on it,
Yeah.
just go wild,
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's a very effective tool on being able to make any type of sound you want to make, for sure.
And the old timers around, I say old timers, a lot of them are gone, but there's still a few around and stuff like that. But they are, I mean, they were, before it was even critter calls, it was, Pinoy Piper, and before that it was Boynton's Famous. And we've got the book up here that shows and it's out of Quanah, Texas, that they'd load up from here in Prague and drive down to Quanah, Texas on a Saturday after working all week and go buy 6 or 8, 10 of those calls from that old boy that was a retired trapper and old railroad guy that worked on the railroad, and bring those calls back, and they put them in people's hands. And man, I'll tell you what, those sounds are still living on because they showed people how to use them. And a lot of the guys that we go with, me included, I mean, that's what we try to replicate, that same sound.
Yeah.
And it just works.
Yeah.
That's all I know. It just works.
It was pretty cool when we did get to meet with the Major on kind of learning the history of where it all started, with the original Boytons. So he was partners with that guy before he passed away. But that guy was he was like a railroad engineer, train engineer, conductor, whatever they're called. And there was a roll of paper that would record all of the speed of the train and the RPM of the engine, and somehow it was kind of like a seismograph looking deal. And so he would have to change this roll of paper out. And back in the early 60s, the plastic, people were still drinking out glass jars, right? Plastic was not what it is today. It wasn't around. Everything wasn't made of plastic. But inside this roll of paper was this red tube that was plastic. And, obviously the train world was probably at the tip of the iceberg when it came to all the fancy technology back then. And so he would take that. It was about like that right there, a red tube. And he would whittle it down and drill. It was already hollow, but he would whittle it and get the air channel and have a little piece of rubber that he would stick in there. And that was his first access to the plastic to even make the original design,
And a lot of the guys still around here still have those same calls. And I mean, they're worth bukus of money too. I mean, I don't know if people know that or not, but you got a red call and it's a lot of them come in peel jars and glass peel jars, and had a piece of paper wrapped in there, and it said Boynton's Famous. If you got a red one, I have a brown one. Nobody's ever seen a brown one. I've got a brown one, and I'm just holding it. A guy told me, he said, Steve, you bought this company. I want it to be like in a museum one of these days or something like that, And they still sound great. And but what's crazy is just that they've held together this long. I mean, they held together for 50 or 60 years, and
that's awesome.
Just the lineage. I've said this on another podcast. I mean, Prague, Oklahoma, to me was the predator hunting capital of the world. These guys, that's what they did.
And look, we could have backyarditis on this deal for sure, but I mean, it seems like this neck of the woods was like the mecca.
Well, they were country before country was even cool. I'll just tell you that. They were doing predator hunting deal before. I mean, they were calling in dogs, and I mean, nobody hardly even heard about it. And then, even, I mean, whenever we mentioned those names to the Major, he knew them just like that.
Yep.
He's like, I've talked to him about him every month
Yep.
for about 5 or 6 years. I ain't heard from him in a while. It's like, because he's passed away, you know, and stuff. And other big names up in the northern states, you know, they used to come down here and they would talk about designs on future calls and stuff like that. And it's cool stuff, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of it kind of, I get a little, I don't know, it sinks in a little bit when you're driving down the road thinking about the history that is behind this company.
Yeah.
Being
Yeah.
the original one and being the original patented design that literally everything else is a derivative of right now. Because like when you look at Primos or whatever, I mean, it's not even privately owned anymore. It's part of the bigger conglomerates, but there's not a lot of companies that have existed since the mid 70s, you know, that
Right.
are still a privately owned thing, and to have that to where we're working on it every day and trying to move it in the right direction
Right.
and keep that heritage going. It's I don't know, it's just really cool being ate up with the outdoors, just like you guys. It's I don't
Well,
know,
just people come up to us saying, "Hey, I killed my first coyote with a critter call, man."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, back in 1984, and I'm just like, "That's so cool," you know. And we're still making the exact same ones today. Nothing's changed, guys, other than the ownership of it, you know. And that's where we want to keep it too. We
Yeah.
want to keep it here and just keep things going. And
Well, that was one of the main reasons why she decided to sell it to us, is because we said yes to the fact that we were going to keep the manufacturing here in the States, you know, and not
she
take
said, "Are
it.
you going to
Yeah.
take it to China?"
Yeah.
Tell us, are you going to take it to China? And we said no.
Because
We're
she'd
taking
had
it
four or
over.
five, 4 or 5 different people that wanted to buy it, but they were going to take the manufacturing to China, you know, and she had made kind of a promise to Major that she would keep it here in the States, you know, and so I don't know, it's pretty cool little story on the history of it and where it came from and where we hope to take it for sure.
Yeah. So what's your guys' goals and the kind of future for this year alone? What do you guys have like your plan? Do you have more shows? You looking at to get more stores?
Bag
Yeah.
in New Mexico,
Yeah.
and I'm really excited about that. Something one thing is trying to get just everything on shelves in these different stores and stuff that we want. But something I'm super excited about is his buck grunt that he's working on. I'm telling you, that thing is going to be, I think it's going to be first class.
Yeah.
And just it just fits what we do. You know what I mean? All of our calls are super durable. You know, we don't want to be walking out there and you get to your tree stand, you look and, you know, all the guts are out of your grunt. That's not
Yeah.
cool, man. You know what I mean? The other thing that we want to focus on too is we want it to be a call that, you know, even a novice with just a little bit of work can sound like a buck grunt. You know what I mean? And we want somebody that's maybe not a duck hunter that can pick up a duck call and sound like, you know, a duck quack. And
Mhm.
it's make simple calls that are built to last. And maybe we're putting ourselves out of business one of these days because hey, they're going to be around for 20 or 30 years, you know. But that's the game I want to play.
Yeah, so my biggest goals for this year, we got some shows that we're gonna continue to do, but we've got part of the issue with Critter Call is there's no real convenient way to carry it, and so we're this close to launching a solution to that, because like you said, they do last forever, and so. And people have like passed them on generationally to their kids or whoever, you know, hey, this is grandpa's original call, right? And so there's some heritage to that of keeping it and keeping them safe. So we've got a pretty cool project that we're about to launch on that aspect of it. And then obviously my grunt tube, I graduated from Oklahoma State with a degree in wildlife and fisheries ecology, and I'm a science weirdo in my head all the time. And so I've ran a lot of really crappy grunt calls, and there's been a lot of good ones, and I've blended things from one to the other in the past, and always I've always had an idea in my mind of like the perfect grunt tube, but there's one aspect to being like a science dork and a manufacturing dork, and I finally met the manufacturing people that helped me get my dream going,
Yeah.
and so it was really cool the first couple I don't know what those would be called, CAD designs
Yeah.
that we got back of seeing, my little graph paper. If you could see my graph paper that I sent this guy of how I sketched out my grunt tube to where it's back and it's like right there and it's something that can be manufactured, and then working on getting those prototypes done. We've already got the read and like the voice aspect of it, and every single one of those calls, or every single call that I put that into it, it sounds phenomenal. And so just getting the barrel and the body, the engineering side of that kind of in my mind, I'm super excited. I mean, because I'm a diehard deer hunter, right? So I'm really excited about bringing the grunt tube to the market. But yeah, just really, if we could be in some box stores now that we finally got all of our packaging stuff figured out to be compliant with those big players, man, if we could be in some Shields and some Bass Pros and some Cabela's Academies, just any of them, man, I'd call 2025 like a gigantic victory for this year. Because that's kind of been the goal from the get-go,
Yeah, and I mean, next year's our 50th anniversary, for the company and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so we inherited a lot, but we've also taken it to I think is a very promising future for the company and stuff like that. And like I said, all we want is people to be successful. We want people to have fun, have success outdoors, and just enjoy life, make memories with your kids.
Yep.
I got something mad behind me. Give me a second.
The dog. Yeah, nice.
When you get that grunt tube ready, let me know. I'll order
Yep.
one.
Yeah, we'll have to get one.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to see that grunt tube. I've heard enough about it. Ready for all this talk to be like, here it is.
Yeah, believe me, I'm ready to.
I'm telling you, it's. I mean, it's just weeks away. I'm just telling you. And,
That's awesome.
Like I said, our goose calls, we just got them in 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And they sound phenomenal. And I'm just.
Yeah, I'm ready to run one of those. I've been running that duck call. My wife is I think she's getting tired of it, but hey, I have a whole wall in my house, and there's probably, I don't know, I probably have I don't know, 20, 30-ish duck calls that I own, and that thing's right up in front because I just love to run it. It sounds so good. Which some of those, they're more for looks. I knew they weren't good, but that one's up front because it looks good and it sounds good.
Yeah.
So
I like it because we really worked on that back pressure on that deal.
Mm-hmm.
So many of them just like, you just like, it feels like you just got gutted every time you blow into that deal. I like a little bit of back pressure. It helps me to keep the calling going, and I can keep that cadence going longer and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. And it ain't on me. I'm telling you, I had a guy help me, and my son helped me, Matt, and it's been one of those deals where it's been a project, and it's a lifelong dream of his to get this duck call going, and it's come to fruition. You know what I mean? Now we got a good call, sound great, and man, all we got to do now is just stack birds.
Yeah.
Buy enough ammo, boys. Let's go.
Yeah. Hey, we'll get together this year. We'll definitely do that. Like I said, is there any shows close you guys are gonna be around in Oklahoma with the goose call by chance?
Well, we got the Enid show that we just signed up for up in August. That's in Enid, right?
No, it's in Woodward.
Oh, Woodward, yeah.
Woodward.
We were talking. Tanner went to that one last year. We haven't decided if we're going back yet or not. It was good, but we don't.
Our booth got. Yeah, our booth got paid. I mean, we broke even on the deal at least. I think we did pretty good. So up there, I found out those kids up there, they love those rope hats. Yeah. That's where we sold our rope hats, is up there.
Really?
And yeah, we did well up there. We did a drawing and everything, and the youth presence up there was pretty cool. We had a lot of youth kids come by and get to talk to me. But yeah, no, we talked about maybe going back to that one.
Got that mega giant buck sitting there. It's
well,
stop and talk to you about.
And here's the deal: people just want to know that you care for them. You know what I mean? And those kids, they can pick it up in 10 seconds if somebody actually cares, or if they're just like, hey, kid, get out of here, you know.
Yeah.
And I've seen you guys at Tulsa, man. I see y'all's hearts. I'm just telling you. And you guys stopped and talked to everybody that came by, and I'm telling you, that's a very fine characteristic, man. Talks a lot about your character and who you two men are. And uh, another one we're going to go to, I think we're going to do that Texas Trophy
Oh yeah, Texas
Hunters
Trophy Hunters.
down in Fort Worth, and
Mhm.
then we've got a special deal that, I mean, like, I don't know if we even should be talking about it, but they've invited us to go up and do some seminars up in the Sand Hills in Nebraska. They got
Oh,
big
awesome.
fur trader and trapper deal that's going on for kids, and
Yep.
we're donating a bunch of calls for kids to come in, and I guess they're coming in from like Wyoming and Montana, Nebraska, Colorado, and like 5 or 6, 7 states. They're even getting schools
That's
involved. We're going to bring school buses up there with kids to try and show them, hey,
Yeah.
this is how, you know, there'll be guys setting traps and stuff, and then we'll be kind of doing the predator calls.
Kind of like an outdoor church camp, really.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
big-
awesome.
We'll have a booth
Yeah.
there, and then they're going to try and get a hold of the major, see if he wants to come up. And I was maybe going to get a hold of Coyote Man. See, I did talk to him about it. And he's like, heck yeah. Just tell me, they,
Yeah.
you know, August in Texas, what day do you want me there? Because I want to be out of here. 115 down
Hey.
here. You know?
Hey, January through December in Texas, right?
Yeah.
Trying to find out how to get out of there.
Next year, we're definitely, I mean, we just got into it too late this year to get into all the bigger, you know, Western hunt expos and the National Wild Turkey Federation and all that. But we're definitely going to have all our P's and Q's minded to where we can go to some of those bigger, you know, 5 or 6 bigger shows on the
Yeah.
national side of things.
I really want to do that Pennsylvania show. That I think it's a 9-day show up there.
Yeah.
And it'll be
Wow.
it's going to gut us probably, but I'm just telling
Yeah.
you, it'll be a great show. And you know, I'm just telling you, man. This guy right here, I'm just going to brag on him for a second. He helps me out so much on all this computer stuff. I'm not no expert. He set up our website, and not only is he a freaking good shot and a coyote killing machine and a deer killing machine, he's a good dude. And I tell you what, I couldn't ask for a better partner in this deal. And
Yeah.
we're kind of like
That's
a dynamic duo. And we're trying to figure out who's Batman and Robin. But anyways, it's going good, man. And I couldn't do it without this guy. I'm telling you, he's a great
Yeah.
and just a stand-up guy.
Well, and that's one thing we learned from being in business for so long is you've got to you got to hire people that complement your weaknesses, you know, and
Absolutely.
Steve is not not any type of IT guru by any stretch of the imagination.
I got an iPhone.
Yeah.
But,
And,
anyway,
but I mean, I'm way off deeper in the weeds than I ever thought I'd be on
he's
building
doing awesome.
websites and all that stuff. You know, you just kind of, like we've always said, drinking from a fire hose sometimes. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's very,
Well, and on that point, I still remember I was sitting on my recliner, and I had talked to the lady about it, and she had agreed to meet with us. And I called Tyler and I said, "Hey, I got something," and he's like, "Well, what is it?" You know, because we're kind of looking for life after the insurance agency, you know,
Yeah.
and we hadn't even sold it yet, but I was already, you know, I was bird dogging something else, you know, I was already on point, and the Lord put us there, and I said, "Hey, I got this. You remember Critter Calls?" And he's like, "Yeah." I said, "Let's buy it." He goes, "What?" And I'm like, he's like, "Where are you getting all this information from?" You know what I mean? What are you talking about, Burris? What are you talking about? Which I get that a lot. You know what I mean? My wife says that all the time. But anyways, I'm like, "Hey, listen, I've ran down this deal. My wife Kathy thinks I'm crazy, but it's taken me 2 weeks. I found the owners, and they're willing to talk to us." And Tyler's like, "Dude, that it was just like a puzzle piece that fit." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We were looking for that puzzle piece on what we want to do
Yep.
for the rest of our lives, and it was the exact puzzle piece that, I mean, it's meeting people, having relationships with people,
Yep.
being passionate about the outdoors, and then of course my biggest goal in life is to tell people about Jesus Christ, and I'm
Yep.
not ashamed of it. And I've come on to every kind of person there is, just about. Some will spit in your face, some will do whatever. But listen, I still doing my job, and I'm just going to keep on trucking just like a train now.
Yeah.
And I just want to tell people about Jesus Christ. And if this is the avenue that God opens doors for us to do this, then that's what I'm going to use.
It was 100% a God thing
There's
for
no-
us to even get in the
That's-
door on getting a contract on it, So it's it's a God thing.
I mean,
all
if you guys are talking about that, and that's kind of funny because it lines up kind of with our story. For years, me and another buddy of ours were working on what should we do, and Gunner and I didn't know each other. Like, we knew of each other. We knew, like, we see each other's pictures on social media. We knew that we both of our families are, me and my dad, my brother, and him and his dad. We're diehard deer hunting fan or deer hunters, still are. But it's like I saw what they posted, and I know they saw what we posted, and our mutual friend introduced us, and like me and him been talking for 4 years, 5 years. Like, what we want to start doing videos. What should we do? Then Gunner got in the picture, and then another guy got in the picture, and we were all about it. And then leading up today, it's just the two of us because everyone's eyes in the path didn't line up, but. Going on October 1st, the year that we launched, 22 days in? Is that when you shot your
22.
Mm-hmm.
deer? 22 days in, Gunner shoots his deer, and we went from 100 followers to like 3,000 in a week. And that's what, we started every Sunday. We posted scripture. And it was just every Sunday, that's what we did. And it's like, this stuff doesn't happen because of us. So, I understand that. And the puzzle piece, me and Gunner, I don't know. I think sometimes he probably gets tired of my mouth, and sometimes I get tired of stuff on him. But at the end of the day, I'm like, there's no one else. You guys know what we're talking about. So, but the puzzle piece and all that, it's all meant to be for something. So
I'll tell you what that is real quick, and that's a divine intersection.
Mhm.
But God put you both on this earth to do what you're doing right now. And he knew exactly the plan. And it's just like me and him. Everybody's asking me, like, how are you guys, you guys are insurance agents in your own agency, and we bought an agency and put it all together and stuff. And then now you guys are doing this together. It's just, how can God use us, man? And I'm just happy to give him glory in all things. And there ain't none of this possible. I'm just telling you.
And then when you really take a step back and look at the hindsight approach, you're like, there's no other justification that makes any sense.
Other than me on a computer trying to find somebody. How's that happen? You know what I mean? How did it happen?
That's funny. Yeah, no, we 100% get that. So if anyone's listening, where could they find Purchase a Call?
Right now, our website is the best, crittercalls.com or crittercall.com rather. Our email is crittercalls@gmail.com. We've got several dealers that we've got set up here in local. Now that we've got our packaging figured out, we're really going to start hammering out, reconnecting with all the dealers and whatnot. But just our website, crittercall.com. We got it all built out by, species that you can go see exactly what you're looking for or whatever, so you're not scrolling for days. Of course, we got the Facebook page, kind of keep up with what we're doing, and you have a new product launches and whatnot, Instagram. Definitely the website right now.
I like that Facebook deal a lot. There's a lot of interactions and stuff like that. I haven't even posted half of the turkeys they've killed on there. I mean, I got a stack of turkey pictures and choke a mule over here, and I'm just like, I don't even know how to do all that. Tyler does, but anyways, we got a family over here that's like 15 miles from us. The entire family, except for the mom, has killed a turkey this year, and I mean, ropes on them, man.
Yeah.
And they're like, these are the best calls we've ever used in our entire lives.
We definitely have fallen behind on the Facebook posts lately.
It's easy to fall behind.
Yeah, but it's a deal where, and hey, he gave the email address. Emails, man, we want to, it's just like a guy from North Carolina, we partner with Southern Precision Outdoors down in Georgia on a lot of our thermals and stuff. And matter of fact, they're starting a deal where they're going to put us on their website, where if people want hand calls, they can come here and stuff. And we're going to do the same for them. And it's just those relationships. And it's like that guy from North Carolina. He's called me 4 times. and that's fine, dude. I've sent him videos of me calling on a call, and I said, "You sound like this, you're going to kill dogs." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like he said, he told me, he's like, "Steve, you own this, right? Or do you work for these guys?" I said, "Me and Tyler own it." You know what I mean? He's like, "Who do you get to talk to that owns a company that's sitting there telling you how to use the calls and stuff like that?" And he'd never even, he was an older gentleman, and he's never heard of us, but he knows us now, boy. I tell you, he's on fire on that.
Yeah.
Is there a place?
It's on the website. We've got all of our contact page there that you need to send us an email or whatever, on how to use something. Just look us up there and we'll get you taken care of.
Is there a YouTube or anything that there's sound files? If anyone's never heard you guys, they want to hear it, or do you have videos up using them?
We do have a YouTube channel. We had it scheduled the other day to record like the instructional videos, and the weather didn't work out. But we are, because that is the biggest question we get, right? How do you use it? Because there is that generational gap of where folks have kind of transitioned to more e-collars, and now they're looking to expand on what they're doing. But yes, we will have instructional stuff up soon to where they can hear us using it. And you're kind of, I don't know, you're a little timid right out of the gates to put all that out there, because you want to make sure it kind of jives with what everybody else sounds like, and you're not just this out there on your own on an island. But now that we've hunted with enough folks, bro, I mean, we run them just as good as anybody else, and we've been able to verify that. So we're gonna put it out on the website, and we'll have it on the website, have it on the YouTube channel, linked everywhere else to where you can have a PhD course in how to run one.
Now we do have the coon squaller on there. The eye candy does have a video on there how to use a coon squaller. Did we ever do the turkey ones?
Yeah, I got a push button. A guy asked me how to use a push button turkey call the other day, so I made a quick video through that on the YouTube channel. But we're once again, 7 months in here, so we got
you're getting fresh.
So but
so and then we're gonna get a coyote killing video with you guys right this winter, and so there will be another way.
It doesn't even have to wait till
buck grunt.
Yeah.
So
let's go shoot some close dogs with shotguns or something, man. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Man. Get up in your lap.
Yeah.
Get your heart.
Absolutely. That'd be a blast.
We've got some good properties.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Well, I mean, and I say this all the time. A coyote is not your friend. I mean, I was at a place the other day, and I said they'll eat anything right now. They were tempting dogs to jump off the porch to try and approach them, and they were going to kill them. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
And it's we've got to get them under control. But I haven't met a single farmer or rancher or anybody that I know that loves coyotes, and they say kill them all.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're here for. I think that's our little plan, that hey, look, kill them all, we'll sort them later.
Target rich environment.
There you go. TRE, that's what we call that, dude. We'll go hunting somewhere. It's like, man, those TRE right there. Target rich environment.
We'll definitely get together and do some hunts for sure. That sounds like don't tempt me with a good time.
There you go.
Yeah. My favorite thing.
Thank you all for being who you are and what you do. That's what I'd say too. I'm just telling you that because people need to know that outdoorsmen and outdoors women and outdoor kids they're not outlaws. They're not some sort of a rogue or anything like that. I mean, there could be a few of them in there, but for the most part, they're very good people. You know what I mean? And they love the outdoors, love America, and love Jesus. That's all you got to figure out there.
Well, thank you guys for coming on today, this episode. I really enjoyed getting to talk to you guys. I know our conversations at the Backwoods Show was great, so I knew this episode would be great. Thank you guys for hopping on and letting us know what Critter Calls is about.
Thank you guys so much.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having us, for sure.
And God bless you guys.